right, welcome back to our second episode of Nothing But the Haul Truth, and we are joined today by Frank. He is an auto hauler with us at Virginia Transportation. Do you want to tell them a little bit about how long you've been working here, how you got started?
Oh, I've been here since April of 2010, so I've been here 13 years. I was here during the company's, I wouldn't say infancy, but I guess we were still like toddlers at that time compared to where we are now. I've been hauling cars overall for 17 years. I've been driving for 27 now. I basically came on board right when the company was starting to really blossom. I was at another company. I wasn't very happy there, and I had some friends that were already over here. And they're like, hey, the water's fine, come jump in, and that's why I'm here.
So I know you had mentioned that you've obviously been in the trucking industry for quite a while. Yeah. How have things changed back from when you first started to now?
Well, in trucking in general, back then there was more respect on the road. More respect on the road, more respect in the truck stops. When you're coming in as a 20-something-year-old, as green as the grass, you had mentors. You had people you could look up to. You saw how people even carried themselves. Today, you look at what's out there, outside of car hauling, just like your general freight haulers, and you just see, I don't know if it's just because I'm a lot older now, and I look at these, it's not good. I don't even have a CB radio in the truck anymore because I just got tired of the nonsense on there.
Really? So it's just like angry drivers?
A lot of anger, a lot of hate, a lot of racism, a lot of...
we don't need that.
It's ugly. It is very ugly what you hear on the radio and even sometimes what you see in the truck stops.
Really?
And so I try to avoid the truck stops. Go in there, get a shower, get fuel, find somewhere else to park.
Oh, so you won't even park at
I try not to.
So is there fighting, that kind of ensues?
Not physical, but there's just tension in the air. And it's not a good scene a lot of
So
times.
I feel like the trucking community used to be large. You know what I mean? You all used to, it still is large, but you all used to be a lot more...
It used to be tighter.
Tighter. Yeah, that's a good word.
It was tighter. It was more of a brotherhood, more of a camaraderie. Now you see that still in car hauling for the most part, but that's still even very you see other Virginia drivers, if you recognize them, like, hey, what's up? Maybe go have a meal or whatever. But even other Virginia drivers, they just look at you like, who the heck are you? And they just go the other way. And it's just like, all right, dude, well, you have a good one. Be safe,
Right.
Oh, yeah. I guess when the company grows the way it did, and for as large as it is now, not everyone's going to get along.
No, of course not. You got to at least make the effort, right?
Some people do. Some people don't. Some people just don't. They feel they don't have the time.
That's true. I feel like a lot of truck drivers kind of take the job because they like to be alone. Not all.
I got into it more out of necessity. I had 3 kids already, and I was working in marketing. It was a dead-end job. It was in newspapers.
Okay.
And newspapers were obviously going down too.
Yeah.
This was the mid-90s even. It was already, you could already start to see that it was dwindling. So it really wasn't. There wasn't a future there. And my father drove for a bunch of years off and on. He was, he did construction, did whatever. He did whatever he could to make ends meet. Could have managed his money better, but that's what people did back then, I guess. And it was just like I knew I could do it.
Right.
I had to basically wait for both my parents to unfortunately pass because they did not want me in the industry whatsoever. Because, back in the 70s, 80s, it was a rough, the equipment was rough. And me being smaller in stature, my dad was like, oh, you could never do it. Because he's used to the big, giant steering wheels with no power steering and a cab over. And he had Popeye arms like this. And it was just like he didn't,
right.
He was just like, oh, you can't do it. And that's basically what it was, because I don't want you to do it. You're smarter than that. And I realized that today you need to have a decent head on your shoulders to survive.
It's a good job. And it's car hauling specifically is not easy.
No,
it is not an
easy
job. You have to go through an insane amount of steps just to get things loaded, unloaded. I've watched out our training class in the back.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It is a lot of steps to have to remember, to have to always do.
You have to get into a routine.
Yeah.
If you don't get into a routine, something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's why anytime I would see our senior management team out in the yard, if they see that you're loading, you're handling stuff, they won't come near you.
Right.
Because they know you have that routine and they don't want to break your routine and have something bad happen. You get done what you're doing, you come over, you shake hands, go grab lunch, whatever it is.
Because if you start having a conversation in the middle of you loading, you might forget a step.
Exactly.
And then something happens.
Exactly.
And then it's just a stupid mistake that can easily have been avoided.
Yeah. I mean, you can forget to pin the deck.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran high rails for years. Being a quick loader now is, there's not as many steps, but there are still steps, and you can still make a mistake. You can still forget to pin something off, and it'll drift down. And next thing you know, you get to your dealer, and you have a car that the deck is rubbing on the roof, and now you got a major claim that, you're going to be red-faced because you're going to be embarrassed that it happened, and two, it just costs the company a lot of money, regardless of the fact that you just lost your bonus.
Exactly.
The bonus is secondary, because when I first started here, we paid for our claims.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, when I hear guys now, wanting to go different avenues as far as making the bonus easier, I'm like, bonus? I mean, you're just lucky you don't have $150, $200 every week coming out of your paycheck because you screwed something
up a year ago. And those damages get high.
Yes.
I've worked with the claims.
Exactly.
A tiny little chip this big will cost the company or driver, whoever's paying for it, whether
hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars for something this small, because you're paying for the labor, you're paying for everything that goes into it. You're not just paying for that damage.
And the smaller the dealership, the higher the claim, because the chances are they're sending it out.
Correct. And then so by that, you're paying for that tow.
Oh, yeah.
You're paying for the tow as well for them to get it from
because they're going to throw it on a rollback. They're going to send it somewhere. Or if it's a big claim, we're going back and we're picking it up ourselves and taking it somewhere so they can do the estimate and maybe do the repairs or decide that it has to be totaled out. I mean, it's the worst case scenario. But I've picked up many vehicles that either us or another carrier had damaged, and Honda asked us or whoever asked us to pick it up and take it somewhere.
Right. Yeah. And we ended up paying for that move as well.
Well, in some cases, if it's another carrier and we're being asked to do it, then we're getting paid by the manufacturer.
Right.
And in that case, it's like, hey, sure, I'll take that all the way to Alabama.
Yeah.
With the roof caved in on it because somebody, either hit a bridge or dropped something down on it.
Or road debris.
Oh, yeah, road debris.
Road debris.
Road debris happens a lot less than what it's claimed.
Yes.
Usually that's not to rat everybody out there. Come on, we know better.
We know it's not road debris.
If I can get away with it, hey, have at it. I know we all have.
Yep, but our quality team's pretty good, so they can usually tell when it's not a little rock chip.
You bet.
So you do Twitch live streaming, which is awesome. Talk about that a little bit. Like, what do you talk about on your Twitch streaming?
It's not mine. It's Alan Sweeney's. I help him out with it. So it's called the Got Diesel Show. And we hang out on Saturday night, drink a few beers, say a few curse words, talk about the industry. He does most of the legwork on it, if not all, as far as getting the articles that we talk about, getting the topics. I mean, he does a lot of work behind the scenes to get that 2-hour stream up and running. Mm-hmm. And then we'll sometimes have some audio gremlins in there that, he may grab his hat, throw it across the room, and his son's involved as well. It was a bonding moment for him and his son. Originally, they just played video games on there.
Oh, really?
And then it went into trucking. And his son's right there with us, helping out. And he's getting ready to go into high school. And he's got he's got personality.
He's in the right career though. This kind of stuff, live streaming,
digital media is where it's at and where the future is.
So the younger you can get into it, let's not. Too young is a little too young, but as you get into it, it's really beneficial.
Oh yeah, especially if you have basically parental guidance, parental supervision.
Yeah.
I don't see why someone in middle school, high school, if they have something they really want us to talk about.
Talk about it.
Do it, yeah.
It's good to get them exposed in that way too, because it helps with speaking. It helps with talking in front of people. There's a lot of benefits to it. That's not just playing video games.
Yeah, because I know when I was younger, I had a stutter, and sometimes if I still get nervous, I may stutter or stammer, or get too excited. And I went to broadcasting school. I learned the trade a little bit back in the 90s, where you were still literally cutting tape by hand and stuff like that for radio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, digital editing was just a new thing because the computers at the time.
I've watched some old editing videos. That's kind of insane how you used to do it. When you used to cut them and then paste them together.
Literally splicing physical tape together. Now
you do everything online.
Yeah, everything's a breeze now.
Honestly, AI, you can even do it, I'm sure.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anything can do it.
Pretty much, you could put raw video or raw audio I'm sure, into an AI chatbot or something, and it'll
Give you a
their
Oscar.
version of it. Yeah, it's crazy how the robot's going to take over the world someday.
Someday.
And maybe not in a good way.
No, they're going to take all of our jobs eventually.
Well, they can't. I don't see them driving, loading and unloading cars anytime soon.
No, you're probably safe. You're good.
We're safe. We're
You're
safe
needed.
through retirement.
So, besides from live streaming, what's some other things that you like to do outside of trucking?
Like hanging out with my dogs.
Okay. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have what is she now? She's about to be 7-year-old, 130-pound chocolate lab.
Oh, wow.
We think
Big dog.
We think she's a lap dog. She's a big baby. And we also have a 3-year-old mutt we rescued from the side of the road during the pandemic. It was him and his siblings and the mom were left on the side of the highway. And that's why my wife just babies the living heck out of him. He's part rot, and we're not sure what else he is, but he's a big baby for sure. He's such a wimp. He looks all mean, but he's just, Daddy, hold me.
So they're a little too big to come into the truck with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with big dogs in trucks anyway.
No, they need the
regardless.
space. You know what I mean? That's a really, small dogs, I understand they kind of have a little bit more room. So
Yeah, they can get in like a little Boston or a little teacup Chihuahua or something like that. Yeah,
nothing big, though.
I see it. I mean, in auto haulers, I know guys that do it, and kudos to them, and it works out for them great. Personally, I couldn't do it.
No, and I think it's also specific on the dog. There are some dogs that thrive in a truck. I've seen some big dogs.
Even some cats.
Even some cats. They just sit there and they will be so content, hanging their head out the window, just chilling.
I
with
get
their
nervous if
owner.
I'm going through the truck stop and I see a dog just running around in the lot.
Yep.
I'm just thinking, all right, well, is this dog a stray? Is this somebody's dog that?
So are they allowed to?
Yeah, allowed is a relative term. It's just whatever. You just hope that nothing bad happens to that dog running around the park.
Right. Yeah.
You don't want that dog to get hit.
Exactly.
I saw one. It was early in the morning, like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I was down in Florida, and I saw this dog running around, and I don't know if it was a stray or not. And I'm just like, please don't get hit. And it would lay down in the middle of the lot. I'm like, it's not the best place to lay, especially it's dark out. It's like,
Oh yeah.
you just don't want that to happen. Dogs are better than most people, so it's just like.
So are there a lot of strays that hang out at the loading yards? It just depends where you are.
I guess it depends where you are. If you're down like Birmingham, Alabama, you might see a bunch of stray cats running around and stuff like that. More in the urban areas.
Mm-hmm.
But most places you don't really see it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not too bad.
Walkertown, North Carolina, you may see an occasional deer.
Yeah.
When we had Hondas in there years ago, I almost hit a deer with an Accord. It got through the fence and just running through the lot, just banging off the stuff. I'm like, oh, this isn't good.
That would have been a claim. Claim and a half.
Yeah, an interesting claim of that.
Oh yeah, I've hit a deer going down I-95 on the left-hand side when it was going 60 miles per hour, and it jumped out of the median and just ran right into my windshield and bounced off and ran into the woods.
Yeah, I took a Peterbilt deer hunting a few years ago out in Illinois. Pitch black, 8 o'clock at night, and I did not even see it. All I saw was a flash and a thud, and I was just like, yep, I'm positive that was a deer. And check engine lights and everything, just popped the radiator, pulled over, and I'm just like, yep. Saw some fur, never saw the deer. Never saw him. I don't know if he bounced and took off. And
That's usually what they do.
At 70 miles an hour, that sucker. I was like, I looked down the side of the trail because I saw the cars on. And I'm like, please don't let me see deer guts all over these Volvos. And fortunately, it must have bounced forward, but it tore the truck up pretty bad. That truck was never the same.
Oh my god.
Yeah, unfortunately, that truck was down for a few weeks. It was expensive, unfortunately.
Wow.
And deers don't carry insurance cards.
Yeah, no. See, that's the thing that stinks when you hit a deer. Someone's paying for it, and it's not the deer.
No.
It's you. I think the biggest challenge facing the trucking industry is today.
Biggest challenge, I would say, not so much in car hauling, but in trucking in general, is the pay just still isn't up there. It doesn't equate anywhere near what it should be. You have people getting paid the same, relatively the same now as you did 40 years ago.
Oh, so the pay hasn't really changed, you're saying, in the industry.
No, in general freight, obviously car hauling, we do quite well. We really don't have much to complain about. But in the industry as a whole, just the rates have not have gone up, and that's also relative as far as if you're going to pay somebody that's making $60,000 a year right now, you're going to pay them $100,000 a year. That money's got to come from somewhere, and chances are that loaf of bread's going to cost you $4 instead of $3 now. So it's all relative.
Right. So everything else is going up.
Exactly.
But nothing else is going up.
No,
So.
and and that's why many companies have a hard time with recruiting and retention.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a 25, 30-year-old person and you have a family at home, unless you've been in this industry or you grew up in this industry,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go do something where you're home every day so you can go to your kids' Little League game and all. You're not going to want to run the road.
No.
Unless you need to, you're not going to want to.
And that's a huge struggle for people. Home time, that really is a huge struggle. Is definitely getting home and making sure, because I know some guys who would love to be home every weekend. It's just
Yeah, I mean, I get home. I get home every weekend.
Mhm.
But I mean, my kids are now grown.
right.
My youngest, she's off at college. She's hanging out at the beach. She's doing her thing. So it's like when I'm home, it's like I'm almost bored
Right.
for a bit because there's not a whole lot to do. That's why getting in different hobbies. I started learning how to cook and stuff like that. But if it's just me and the wife there and none of the kids are over, chances are I'm watching Netflix and I'm just chilling out, or I'm going to the gun range, or I'm doing something else. And I mean, I'm just just me and her. I'm not going to cook a big meal.
Right. Exactly. So.
Unless I'm doing like meal prep for the truck or something, then I'll cook some stuff together and then put it in the bowls and throw it in the microwave and throw it in the fridge or bring it on the road.
So you meal prep and then take them on the road.
Yeah, now I'm getting my inverter installed in this truck.
What's an inverter?
It's the power, basically where you're taking the power from the truck and you're turning it into, I guess, AC power, so you can plug regular appliances in.
Oh,
So like a fridge, a microwave,
That
a
makes sense.
coffee pot, air fryer. I mean, 3,000 watt inverter, you can plug a lot in, maybe not all at one time. Well, your refrigerator really doesn't take up that much power.
It doesn't.
50, 100 watts.
Microwave maybe, but
Yeah, microwave, you're doing 7 to 900, but you're not going to run an air fryer and a microwave at the same time.
No.
You're going to do one or the other.
exactly. So what kind of meals do you make?
Well, a lot of, sometimes I'll do burgers, smash burgers and stuff like that. But if I'm doing meal prep, I'm doing a lot of basic stuff, a lot of chicken and rice and stuff that's going to hold up and it's going to sustain you. Buy a bag of frozen vegetables, throw that in with the rice, marry everything together, maybe throw some soy sauce, make like a chicken fried rice out of it, stuff like that. I do a lot of cooking like the Blackstone.
Okay.
And I have an Instapot at home that I like to cook a lot of meals in. It's quick and easy. I mean, you could do, a pork shoulder, like a 9-pound pork shoulder. You can do in like 2.5 hours in an Instapot, as opposed to 7 or 8 hours when you're putting out on the smoker. Because middle of winter, you don't want to be outside tending. I mean, where I live, it's not so bad,
Right.
but you get kind of used to it. When it's 30 degrees, you're thinking it's chilly. When up here 30 degrees, you're running around in shorts and a t-shirt.
Exactly.
But just different things like that. You can learn YouTube and Google and everything.
Mhm.
You can learn a lot as far as if you want to get into something new. Like I didn't really know how to cook. It was just something I got interested in, and it was like I just started watching YouTube videos or picking up recipes online and trying them out and stuff like that. And I enjoy it. I mean, my family enjoys it when I cook too. Because, a home cooked meal that looks like something better than you can get in a restaurant.
Exactly. I wish I could cook. I cannot.
It's not worth it. Let's say YouTube it.
YouTube it.
Yeah. If you see him, the cooking guy I watch, he's Canadian that lives in San Diego that owns it. He has a taco restaurant. It just does nothing but tacos.
Okay.
But at home, he cooks everything under the sun. And he has, a smoker, he has, a regular grill, he's got a flat top, he's all different types of cooking, and he teaches you ways that don't take 45 steps to come up with this. It's like he shows you all the shortcuts.
So it simplifies these really
It makes it look like
complicated
it looks like
dishes.
you slaved at it all day and it took you an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm definitely going to have to check
Or even
that
less
out.
when you get good at it.
Because I'm going to need to cook eventually. And
For sure.
lean cuisines don't get me too far.
No, it gets old. I know you're just a lot of you cook sometimes in the truck. You're just throwing in some banquet meals, some Swanson meals, and all that. And you're throwing them in the microwave, and that'll get you by. But when you go to get your blood work done and your sodium levels are through the roof and your cholesterol is trashed, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's from eating all that between the fast food and the microwave meals,
Yeah.
it doesn't do you a whole lot of good.
I know, and I know that's also been another talk that I've actually seen some other truck drivers say. They wish that there was more healthy food options.
There is. I mean, there's not a lot out there.
Yeah,
And what is out there is so overpriced.
Really?
I mean, when you see $3 for 2 bananas, for crying out loud, and you could go to the supermarket and buy a bunch for $3.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what they sell them for at a truck stop, just
And you'll see some of the prepackaged, different fruits and vegetables and all that. And they're charging $4 and $5 for a little cup of, watermelon or cantaloupe or celery with a little ranch dressing.
So if you want something healthy, you're paying extra.
You're gonna pay out the nose for it. It's so much easier to, grab a chicken sandwich out of the hot case or a couple slices of, really crappy pizza just to throw in your gut so you can go down the road. And it catches up with you eventually.
It will, yeah. And especially for you guys, I don't know obviously how other trucking companies are aside from car hauling, but you guys are out in the sun all day. You guys are working out there,
especially in hot summer days like we have now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to stay hydrated. You have to keep your electrolytes in you. Eat salty foods. Keep your salt level up.
Yep.
I mean, because you're going to burn it off, so don't even worry about the extra sodium in your diet in the summertime when it's hot like this, because you're just going to sweat it out.
Yeah, you're just going to sweat everything out. It won't even matter.
Food's high in potassium. Get that extra bunch of bananas. Tired of eating them? Eat one more, just because it helps you.
I think that's about all the time that we have today. Yeah. So I'm going to let you go, but thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, and I wish you the best on the road.
Thank you
Stay
so
safe.
much.
No problem.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.